cut out over there. So just for my friends, what I'm doing, I'm just going to share with you what I learned in my webinars that I took yesterday and today. So the one yesterday at lunchtime was with KPMG, and basically they were looking at HR as a strategic partner for data analytics and data management, and looking at how culture is a piece of the organization. So what we're learning, many of the presenters are repeating, they were also saying that culture is the tip of the iceberg. What you see is not all the culture, it's what's beneath the surface, things that are unspoken, that forms part of the culture. And when we look at metrics in an organization, what are we measuring? In North America, they too focused on metrics. They're always saying what you measure is what gets valued. And that's part of the problem, in my opinion. They talked about looking at turnover. When people are leaving, where are they moving to? Where are they moving from? Using HR metrics strategically. And what are we doing with the results? Because when we're looking at governance, for example, governance supports the culture of your organization. So when in this age of AI, they were basically saying that we have to allow for human error, because sometimes people will let others know about things and then privacy gets violated without them knowing, and it can be unintentional. So we have to make allowance for that, we have to make exceptions for that, and not hold to a hard and fast culture. We have to understand that our people are only going to be as good as the systems that we have in place. And then we have to look at how we can improve our systems to support that. So those are a few of the pointers. And then with the other one, the impact of trade policy and tariff changes on employment and HR. This was Southwestern Ontario, so it's not here where I am. But again, I joined because I'm applying across Canada for jobs, so I want to know what's happening in other areas of the country. And they were saying that 28% of hiring companies rose, so hiring rose in their areas in 2025, but they are also being impacted in certain sectors like logistics, and new skills are needed, so companies are going to need that support and funding. They're going to need grants to adapt. And also for logistics, there are many challenges and costs involved. We need to be loyal to what we're building in this country, because all countries are becoming protectionist, because the cost of the tariffs are so high that people can't afford to buy from other countries. The cost of things within our country should be lower so we can support our own countries. And I talked a little bit yesterday about them saying that we are paying taxes if we are sending our service jobs overseas or producing overseas. We're producing there, then we're paying taxes to bring those products back in. So it doesn't make sense. Some companies are still doing it in the short term, but in the long term, it would make sense for them to bring that back to Canada, because they're only hurting themselves if they're going to put our jobs in India or Africa or America. It's going to work out to their detriment in the long run. And then also they talked about the need to upskill your workers, train them, make sure they're ready for the new opportunities that are coming up. And the legal aspects of what's changing. And we're going to need law to be a partner to us, to guide us, because it's going to be impacting everything from our supply chains to our HR, to everything in the organization is going to be impacted by tariffs. So it's important to note that. And again, young people don't want to work. They were saying that they can't get the young people to work because the wages are too low. So people like me who are qualified, who are willing to take the work, we're not getting it because we're overqualified. And also the wages are low. So it's definitely an ongoing concern for everybody, not just in Toronto, but across the country. They looked at how certifications are available through different government programs at no cost to organizations, so companies can get their teams involved in that. And also people are leaving Canada because they can't get the jobs here at the right level, so people are moving. Hospitality has been affected by constant turnover in the hotel industry. The hotel industry is like the call center. You know, it's low wages, long hours, and people's health gets affected, and people don't stay. So, you know, it's an ongoing problem. And then the one I did today, we looked at cultural intelligence for HR professionals. So what do we understand, adapt, and take action on? Culture has a lot of elements to it. There's the obvious ones, the things you can see, and then there's the subtle things. Even for how we speak, some people get sent for language training or how to change their accent. We had to do that in the call center. They got us to slow down when we are talking to the Americans because they do not understand our accents. So to help them, it is important that you pace yourself. They don't like your tone, so you need to soften your tone when you are speaking to the Americans because they are in power and they have the control and they can have you removed from your job. So we had some time to basically look at the things. What do we see as culture? The obvious ones: dress, accent, food, humor, tone, jewelry, history, worldview, politeness, gentleness, weight. Even weight is something that has to do with culture. You'll find in some cultures, people are obese. A lot of people are obese, like the American culture, because our foods are pumped with sugar and honeys and all kinds of things. Whereas you'll find that in Europe, people are not so obese because they're not eating things that are full of sugar. And so she was just giving us some ideas on how we can think about culture. What are the written or unwritten rules in an organization or culture? And what do we need to have? Head, heart, and hand. So we need to think about what are we thinking about? How is it affecting us, our emotions? And then what do we do? So North America tends to be very individualistic. It's very hierarchical. So people at the top and people who are earning a lot of money are important. People who are like me and who are poor and who are not even on the ladder are thought of to be bums and thought of to be worthless. In North America, they look at the task. So you need to prove yourself, do the job, do what you're there to do, and then maybe I'll develop a relationship with you. Things are fixed in terms of time. Time is money for the Americans and the American executive and those who are trained in this culture. They look at universal rules. Everything applies to everyone and they are in power. Spaces are public. Cues are implicit. Style is formal. When we look at other cultures like Africa, China, parts of Europe, we're looking at collectivist cultures, group cultures. Power is equity, equality. We look at building relationships first and then getting on with the job. Time is fluid. We're not hard and fast on time. Rules are situational. What will work in one context will not work in another. Space is private. So some people are very, very private in their lives. Here, the more you disclose, the better it is. Cues are explicit in places like Africa, China, and Europe. style is informal compared to here. So those are some of the things that we looked at. The presenter was originally from South Africa, and she gave specific examples from her travels and what she's experienced. And she gave an example that stayed with me about how she was in a situation where they were traveling and the Uber driver didn't stop at the red light. And she said to him, "You have to stop at that light." And he said, "It's 2 a.m. We don't stop here at 2 a.m. It's dangerous." And she told him off. She said, "I don't care. Those are the rules. You stop." I wouldn't have done that because I'm different to her. So for me, when I went home, I went to South Africa. I was coming home late at night and it was close to midnight. I kept in touch with my friend Maria throughout that travel, throughout that trip. And when the Uber driver started going the wrong way, I told him, "You're going the wrong way." He said, "No, I'm not." I said, "Yes, you are." And then I put my friend on the phone. Because it's dangerous, because some of them are rapists, some of them are criminals. You don't know who's driving that Uber car. And she told him off. She said, "You bring her home right now. You're not going the right way." Then he took me home. And he went through every red light because it was late at night. We do that in South Africa. It's a norm. You don't stop at the red light because there's a danger you'll be attacked and kidnapped. So these are some of the things we need to think about in terms of culture. And that's why I don't like Canada. Canada is too much about these are the rules. Follow the rules. Even 5 minutes late coming back from your bio break, you must marked as missing in action. I am more like the Europeans. I like the Irish culture. I like the fact that everybody grabs a cup of coffee before they start work. I like the fact that we all greet each other by name before we even sit down. I like the fact that you build relationships with people. So yeah, I'm a square peg in a round hole here, and I am definitely trying to get back to Ireland or get back to London. That's me. So those are some of my learnings for today, and I'm going to go on and do my Bible reflection after this. But it's just for my friends and the people following me at home and in other parts of the world to see how hard it is. And I'm not one of those ones who says, "Oh, let me see, help me understand." I'm like, you know what? Do not go and put a prayer room in the middle of the church, the Muslim prayer room. It's not a mosque. Get over yourselves. You're not that important. You want a prayer room? Go and build it somewhere that's not inside our church. You want a prayer room? Go and build it outside of the company. You're at the company to work. You're not at the company to go pray. You can pray anywhere. You can pray in your head. You can pray wherever. Do not make my company your church. It is not a church. We do not want a mosque inside our corporate space. That's me. So yes, I want to go back to London. And if you don't like it, good. I want you to not like it. I want you to not like it so much that you transfer me to Ireland. That's what I would like to happen.